my whole task is I want them to grow. I want to figure out where they want to go, and I want to help remove all their obstacles so they can get wherever they want to. And that's how I support our team.
Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Golden Wrench Podcast, where I get to talk to everybody and anybody I want to talk to about when it comes to the fixed ops industry. Now, I am so excited for today's guest. We maybe had to reschedule a couple times, but that's okay though, because it's going to happen. And I am really excited for the topics that we're going to get into today. And just being here and having you as an audience just makes me super, super happy. But hey, real quick, before we get into our guest, I'm going to take a moment because we couldn't do this without our amazing sponsors. So let's just take a moment to thank our sponsors.
For years, I've been saying that you have to process your way to profitability, and no one knows that better than the folks at Repair 360. You all know how important it is to have a fast, streamlined used car reconditioning process. Remember, time kills profit. Getting a used car frontline ready in less time while providing transparent communication between departments is what Repair 360 is all about. With Repair 360's automated used car recon manager, you will drive recon times down while giving sales the visibility they need to stop complaining. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding about that part. Anyways, you have to check out their website at repair360.com and see how they can revolutionize your reconditioning process.
All right, guys, here we go. Today, I have the one, the only, the oh so famous, he's already giggling in the background. I have Jeremy Stevens with me. Jeremy, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
Good. Is that an okay intro? Did I bring?
It was. I should have recorded it on my phone so I could listen to it every morning on my way to work.
I can't. I do voicemails. I have been. I've been hired a couple times to do people's voicemails for them. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. Actually, that would be crazy, right?
We should create another little online business that shoots all these text messages like that. Just do intros. So when everybody gets to work, they can hit their little text message from you and get all hyped up.
Can you imagine if you get to the end of a phone call and it's like, hey, you caller who did not connect with so-and-so, it is.
I got a friend. His name is Jesus, and when I have my Apple Play come in, it'll announce this like, you have a message from Jesus, and I was like, whoa, I got a text message.
No, you're right though. I love when Siri messes things up horribly. It does. It's so much fun. Hey, look, Jeremy, I know everyone's watching and going, what are these guys talking about? Hey, I'm excited to have you today. I know we got some great topics that we're going to get into. And but hey, for Jeremy, for everybody out there that don't know much about you, or maybe Bozart Ford, or just kind of your background, I love kind of kicking off these podcasts with a little origin story. So let's start there, Jeremy. How did you get started in this crazy little world we call the automotive industry?
Well, it started back when I was really a kid. My dad and we always worked on our cars and stuff, and I never wanted to do it as a career. But when I got to the end of high school, I hated school. I just didn't. School, it was like oil and water. I'm the product of teachers passing you through the grades, and I'm thankful for that because it just did not mix. And my mom and dad wanted me to go to college, and my brother aced school, so it was easy. And I was like, I'm not a college person. So we compromised on an automotive tech program at a local community college. And it wasn't like that I 100% felt good about it. It's just, this is what I was kind of interested in. I was good with my hands. So I started in that. And while I was going to this tech school and finishing up high school, I worked at a local full service gas station. And these are old school. I don't even think they exist where, I would change oil, do all the light maintenance. And when somebody ran over that rubber line in the driveway, it'd ring a bell and I had to run out and pump people's gas for them. So that's where I got my starts.
I love it, man. I love it. And you know what? I got to be honest with you. Like I said, we were just talking about this before we started recording. I've done over 1,300 podcasts. And Jeremy, I'll tell you right now, you will be surprised how many people started at a pump station. Almost identical to that, where someone drove over that little rubber hose and ding, 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 and
Yeah.
they ran out. I mean, actually, there are some, and that's the cool thing with our industry. See, that's what I think I love about our industry, right? Is that it's from all different walks of life and ethnic backgrounds and education levels. I mean, look, I personally know, all right, a guy that owns about 27 locations that sold pot when he was in high school. Like no, I'm not going to say his name. He knows who he is. And he's laughing right now. I can guarantee it. But this is just like, it's just, if you have this drive, this is the place for you. You can just really make some amazing things in this industry. And it just doesn't matter who you are, or what background you came from, or if you were, forced to go take an automotive technician, course or pay rent.
It is. It's pretty cool. So when I talk to the parents of the future technicians, and they said, why would they work at the dealership? I said, it's the great equalizer. It doesn't matter. It's like, if you have good work ethic and really care and have character, you can succeed, far past what you can even imagine right now. So that's why I love when I tell people about the dealership. It's just a great equalizer from that point.
It is. And I, like I said, it's just one of those things I just love about this industry. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have your MBA or if you barely finished high school. If you got the grit and the determination, you can make an amazing career in the automotive industry. And the sky really is the limit. I never thought I'd had an opportunity to own a dealership. That's crazy. It's just like, but you put the dedication, you can do it. In fact, actually, let's kind of kick off kind of our first topic of today, which is around leadership growth, which, by the way, Jeremy, I'm very excited to get into this topic with you, because I'm just going to say personally, when I got into, let's call that leadership role, I was in no way or form actually ready or I just, no one taught me, right? I mean, I thought I just had to whip people with sticks and tell them get back to work, but that's clearly not the case. So Jeremy, let's talk about this. How do we prepare people for these leadership roles, and what is the importance of leadership inside our fixed ops industry?
So as far as getting ready, I remember I was a technician on Friday and I was a service manager on Monday, and just walking in, just feeling the overwhelm, because in your mindset, you're thinking this way, but when you actually sit in that seat, it doesn't happen that way. Because I've made a ton of mistakes my first year. But one thing I did discover is I should have been ready long ago before I had that opportunity. So a lot of the things now, if you're a technician or if you're just starting a dealership, it's so important for you to start training yourself, because one thing that I got wrong was I thought you had to be a natural born leader. Because when growing up in school, you've seen these guys that can rally people together. They have this charisma that draws people, and that's what I thought leadership was. And I'm looking at it, it's like, no, that's not what it really is. It's a learned trait. So I always tell people, it's like, hey, just like this, listen to podcasts, listen to speakers, leadership, books. There's so much information out there now. I discovered leadership in this in a closet at the dealership, basically, because it seems like every dealership has this like your junk drawer in the kitchen where it's like everybody piles stuff. And there was one day I was just fed up with it. I was like, you know what? Nobody's cleaning this closet out. There's stuff in there from the early 90s, basically. So I started cleaning all this stuff out. And at the very bottom, I found these VHS tapes of John Maxwell's leadership training.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And I was like, what is this? It's like 21 laws of leadership. And it just did not make sense to me. And I was like, I'm going to take this home and listen to them. And then I realized it's like, man, I ain't got a VHS player anymore. But we do have YouTube. So I searched John Maxwell up on YouTube, and I went over this 21 laws of leadership, and it totally just, changed my mindset, not just, it's a fix me first kind of thing. And I started applying those principles, and I could see every time I did it, it's like things changed. Everybody around me changed. And that was the coolest feeling ever, is when you have that, when you change yourself first, and then you start making that little impact on the people around you and you help them grow to where you are. And then it's like you can do some cool stuff when that happens.
You know what, it really is, and it's just so cool to watch that kind of happen. Like I said, I'm the first one to admit I was not prepared to be a leader. I mean, similar to you, like no one, like it was like literally I was a service advisor, on Wednesday, and a Friday I was a service manager, because he quit, and it's just like, and literally I thought the only thing I had to do was just yell at people to get back to work and take care of this crazy thing called the schedule. Like, holy cow, I couldn't believe it, just how much work was required to maintain a schedule for 29 people. Like it was just like it sucked up. Anyways, I digress. But going back to leadership, like no one trained me. I mean, I think it's amazing that you ran into a series of VHS tapes in a broom closet and then decided to go Google it. I mean, dude, that's awesome. And that's one of the best leadership origin stories. In a broom closet.
That's right.
I came out with I can just imagine come out with a cape flying behind you. I was Superman the next day. I love it. But you know what though? That is an amazing accident, right? Like most superheroes, amazing accident, how they eventually become a hero, right? You fell into a vat of toxic waste. No, you went into a broom closet. But I think for most people out there watching, listening right now, what you were saying, Jeremy, and I really want to harp on this for everybody out there watching, listening, because what Jeremy said is that you need to be intentional about becoming a leader, because a leader, you can teach yourself to be a leader, but you need to be intentional about it. So consuming the books, watching the podcasts, right? Like this is being intentional. But here's one of the things I find is that I can do that for about a week. and it's like diets for me. Like I can do it for about a week. And then so here's my next question. Here's where I'm going at with this, Jeremy. It's like, how do I maintain this intentional leadership, mindset? I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So a lot of times with this, just like exercise, we can use that or whatever. It's like everybody just assumes if you're going to start getting fit, you need to exercise 30 minutes every day. And the first time you do that, it feels like you just injected yourself with the flu the next day because you're sore and everything is just like, this is miserable. So what I always recommend, because at one point I was 40 pounds overweight and I really I had a vision. So, it always starts with vision. What do you look like? What does your leadership look like? What does your body look like in 10 years, 5 years, whatever it is? And then, that develops that why. And it's so important to have that why and that vision, because you're going to run into some hard places when you're on this journey that you want to give up. But when you start focusing on your, what it looks like in 10 years, that can draw some energy. But I always say I was like, you don't want to start running, just take the first step. And the first step is 5 minutes a day. And I talk to people about this all the time, and they do that 5 minutes. And what happens is you start gaining value and you can feel yourself starting to change doing 5 minutes a day. And then the next month, it's like, you know what? I think I can do 10 minutes. And then you start adding on to it. And then eventually you'll get to wherever, mine is 30 minutes a day. But that's not everybody's cups of tea. It's 10 or 15 minutes. But as long as you're moving in little increments, you're doing good. And when I talk to fitness people, they're like, oh, you got to do more than 5 minutes a day. I was like, it's a good start. If I do 5 minutes a day, I'm doing more than half the population of the world anyway. So it's like it's going to create that momentum. But what it does is it just activates something in your mind that you want to do a little bit more each day. So I always tell people, start off small. Don't go big. Don't go, 2 hours trying to suck leadership content, because what's going to happen is you're going to get kind of burned out with it. So 5 minutes a day is perfect in the beginning. And what's cool about it is you'll start listening or reading a book or listening to a book or watching YouTube, and they'll name drop another person. And then it's like, oh, you'll start grabbing that person. And it's like, oh, it's a different cup of tea basically. And it's like, oh, that guy's pretty good. And then you start doing that and he name drops somebody. And next thing you know, you're on this journey, and it's like you've gone so far just by starting 5 minutes a day.
No, like you're 100% right, and I like this, this visual you kind of created for us, Jeremy, because it is a lot like working out, but to your point, you can only kind of consume so much before you actually need to start actually putting it into action, right? Like, I mean, look, I can only watch so many workout videos to go eventually at some point in time I'm gonna have to go lift an actual weight, right? Now I'm actually gonna have to do it. And look, I've so, and now you mentioned something, and I find rabbit holes sometimes. So I found a rabbit hole I want to go down because you kind of talked a little bit about like a pace. That's what you're trying to find, your pace, right? Because I think a lot of people get into, they learn about leadership, either at a conference or maybe through a VHS tape in a broom closet, or maybe or podcast or whatever, right? And then they come into work and they're like, I'm ready to change the world, and they want to do everything very fast. And if I go back and use your analogy of the gym, that's going to hurt really, really bad.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you just, if